Hi guys, welcome back to China Admissions channel. Here with me Nadia, and today I'd like to share with you some of my experiences traveling back from my home country in Indonesia to China, and also my quarantine journey here in China. But before that, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and also share this video. So I first left China in January 2020 because I want to spend Chinese New Year holiday with my family in Indonesia. So it was supposed to be a 2 week trip, but then it turns out to be a 10 month trip instead because of the COVID-19. So because of COVID-19, Chinese government decided to close its borders for foreigners on March 28, 2020. So that includes me as well because I hold a foreign citizen at that time, even though I have a valid working permit. So I cannot travel back to China because they closed the border. So in the end, after the Chinese government finally opened its border for foreigners, partially, so by the end of September 2020, Chinese government decided to open its border for foreigners with a valid residence permit under these three following purposes, such as work permit and also family reunion and also personal affairs. But it's not yet open for international students up until now. So in the end, I have to reapply for a new work visa because mine got expired during my stay in Indonesia. So after I got my new work visa, I then get ready for my departure to China. So approximately about a month after I get my new work visa, then I fly from Jakarta to Fuzhou because there is no direct flight yet from Jakarta to Beijing. And then before flying, so when I'm in Jakarta, like 2 days prior to the departure date, I need to do some swab PCR test and also the rapid serology test. So after I got the negative result from both of these tests, then I can board the flight and also fly from Jakarta to Fuzhou. So I flew from Jakarta to Fuzhou on November 19. So the flight was quite full and there were a lot of people, which are mainly Chinese people. There were a couple of Indonesians as well. I guess probably about 10% of the whole passengers of the flights. In my opinion, the journey itself was pretty pleasant. So they no longer serve hot meals. I guess it's the new policy because of the COVID-19. So they provide us like a snack box instead. So each of us got one snack box during 5 years journey from Jakarta to Fuzhou. Overall, it was a pleasant experience flying with them because although the flight is full, but the stewardess and everyone else is like very helpful as well. The stewardess maintained like a high quality of hygiene as well throughout the entire 5 hours of the flight. So it was pretty okay. And yeah, we're quite happy we can land to Fuzhou in the end. So before we board the flight, there are 2 steps that we need to do. So the first one, we need to take the swab PCR test and also the rapid test serology 2 days before the flight. And then after we got the result, then we need to upload the result to the system created by the Chinese embassy at our country. So for example, because I'm from Indonesia, I need to upload the result of the test to the system created by the Chinese embassy of Indonesia, and then they will show us like this QR code. If it shows like a green QR code, like a green one, then it means that I can board the flight. Otherwise, without the green QR code, I cannot board the flight. And besides that, after getting my ticket from the check-in counter, I need to do another one. So I need to fill in my personal information and etc. to the immigration of Chinese embassy. So they have this website as well. They have this mini program on Wechat, whereas we need to fill in our personal information, our date of flights and everything else. After we fill in the form and after it is completed, we will get a QR code as well, which shows that we are allowed to board the flight, and then we have to show this QR code when we're landing in China. So after I arrive in China, in Fuzhou, I need to first show this QR code to the officer who are waiting there, and when the officer already see it and scan the QR code, then it means that we are clear and we can enter China. So after that, we are going to the next step at the airport. So arriving at Fuzhou, we have to show our QR code, and then the next step would be to do a quick interview with the officer over there. So basically, they'll ask us about like personal information, like for example, what's my name, and then my nationality, where I've been, when I'm in Indonesia, like do I wear mask, stuff like that. And then like there are some questions as well related to the COVID-19 situation and your activities when you are overseas and not in China. So after I go through the second process, which is the quick interview process, then I move on to the third process at the airport, which is to do the swab PCR test. So it's very quick process. I think it took me like about 5 minutes to get my swab PCR test done. And then after that, I get to the next step, which is to clear the immigration. So I queue at the immigration, and they basically ask me several questions regarding my arrival to China, and also they'll stamp my passport which says that I can enter China now. And then I enter, then I go to the next step to take my baggage, and after that we are queuing for the bus which will take us to the quarantine hotel. So for the quarantine hotel, basically we cannot choose which hotel we are going to go, and we do not know which hotel we're going to go as well. So once you hop onto the bus will take you to the quarantine hotel directly, and then when you stop there, then you can take out your baggage and then check into the quarantine hotel. So my quarantine hotel so far in Fuzhou is pretty nice. They provide me 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And also I have to stay here for 14 days. No excuses, I cannot stay here shorter than that. I have to stay here in full 14 days. And then, if everything's okay, and if I confirm healthy at the end of the quarantine, then they will release me, and within 24 hours after the release, I have to fly to my final destination, and in this case is Beijing. So it's my 8 days of quarantine so far, and I had taken 2 swab PCR tests during the day 1 and also day 7 of my quarantine, and I still need to take 1 more of this swab PCR test during my day 14 of the stay. And then after everything is okay, and after I'm confirmed healthy, then they will release me and send me to the airport or the train station, whereas I can continue my journey to my final destination. And also, I have to make sure to contact my housing administrator back in Beijing, like the management of the apartment where I stay, because I need to report to them that I'll be coming back to Beijing and I'll be staying back at my place. And then there might be additional home quarantine needed. It depends on where you are going next. So in this case, in Beijing, it is on a case-by-case basis, and it depends on the policy of the housing management. So I'm not sure if the same rules might apply to like other cities, but I heard in other cities there might be additional home quarantine needed about 7 to 14 days, and it's best if you check with the respective government or the respective housing management, for example, so that you can get the most accurate policy that applies at that time. So basically, I'll be waiting for another 6 days before my quarantine is over, and 1 more of the swab PCR test, and I hope that I get my result good, right? So all negative and all that, so I can fly and go back to Beijing. And there are several tips that I can give to all of you who are planning to go back to China anytime soon, right? So my tips to all of you who are looking forward to go back to China anytime soon is to stay healthy and wear masks every time you go out. And when you are at the airport in China, for example, you just need to follow all the procedures given by the officers. So far, based on my experiences, everyone there, like every of the officers there, like the nurse, the police officers, the immigration officers, they are very, very friendly, and they are very, very helpful as well. They will guide you in each of the processes. They can help you in English as well if you don't really speak Chinese. And also, if you're unsure about your health, perhaps 2 weeks before the flight, you can take like a swab PCR test in your home country, where you can also get a little bit information about your current health in terms of the COVID-19, whether or not you have contracted the virus, and hopefully not, for sure. Another tips is to bring some snacks and also bring some food, just in case you don't really like Chinese food, for example, or just in case you're just bored with the food provided by the hotel. So far, during my experiences, they give me Chinese food for sure, for like every day for my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And yeah, and also if you don't eat pork, for example, if you eat halal meat, you can also request to the hotel saying that you only eat halal meat, and they will provide you the halal meal for you. Some of the people who are flying with me from Indonesia, they're Muslim and they don't eat pork, and that's why they requested this to the hotel, and it works. The hotel will definitely give you the halal meal for those of you who don't eat pork. And I heard that if you're a vegetarian as well, for example, you can also request to the hotel saying that you are a vegetarian, and they will provide a vegetarian meal for you as well. And also, you might want to bring your toiletries and also like your laundry detergents and stuff like that, just in case you cannot buy it online, or just in case the hotel won't allow you to buy anything online. You know, like not every hotel will provide you things like toiletries, or even like, you know, like a bucket perhaps where you can wash your clothes, or laundry detergent. Like not all of the hotels can provide you with all this, so it's better if you stay prepared. And in my experience, my hotel won't allow us to do any waimai, so we cannot buy any food from outside, but they still allow us to buy other stuff. For example, we can still buy toiletries from the online supermarket, right? We can still buy something else like a clothes, for example, from Taobao. It's still possible, but again, it depends on the regulation that is imposed by each of the hotels, and it can be different because I know that other people from the same flight that stays at different hotel, they have different policies. So at that hotel, they cannot do any waimai, and they cannot even buy anything from Taobao, from the internet, because the hotel simply won't allow them to buy anything online. So they won't allow Kuwaiti and waimai. So it's best for you to stay prepared for the 14 days of the quarantine, so you can have a smooth journey as well. And last but not least, for international students, I know that you are not yet allowed to come back to China, but I'm sure that your turn will come next. So we shall wait for more updates from the Chinese government regarding this. And yeah, see you soon in China one day. Cheers!